While I was at my parents' house, I made an effort to dig through my Lego bin, and I found this Toa Ignika figure, but as you might notice, he's missing a pretty integral component. That, of course, is the Mask of Life. The Toa Ignika was created eons ago, containing a piece of the Great Spirit Matoro. The mask was sealed away, but was found thousands of years later. Being somewhat self-aware, the mask flew down to the bottom of the sea. Unfortunately, in this time, the Makuta had finally been able to kill the Great Spirit. But our boy Matoro put on the mask, sacrificing himself. The Great Spirit was able to revive itself using Matoro's life force. Inspired by his courage, the Mask of Life wanted to know what it was like to be a heroic warrior itself. Out of the organic material of its surroundings, it manifested a body for itself, and thus became Toa Ignika. A used mask in silver will cost you about $30, and the pearl gold one costs 10 times that. So I decided to 3D print one. Will this DIY version fit the real thing, and will it look good enough to display? To be honest, I have no idea. Painting's gonna make up a big part of it, and I'm a complete novice when it comes to painting, so wish me luck. But on the other hand, I'm determined to make this work, and do my boy Toa Ignika justice. I found this model on Thingiverse by this user here, but it was a low poly model, certainly not ideal for 3D printing, or else you'd really see all those abrupt surface changes. So I took it into Zbrush to smooth out those jagged edges and sculpt some cleaner surfaces. It's hard to see exactly what's happening here, but I'm using a technique that's used with physical clay, where I lightly apply clay tubes back and forth in a cross-hatching pattern. This shows me the curvature of my surfaces and where I need to smooth them out. And in a somewhat ironic sense, scratching a surface back and forth will actually smooth it out overall. Once it was looking good, the next thing I wanted to do was to bring an actual Lego Technic piece inside, so I could try and minimize the amount of times I'd have to print and reprint just to get the fitting right. I made sure that the axle piece was the exact size it should be, so then I created a duplicate of that in order to boolean it out of the mask, but first I added about a 0.02 millimeter tolerance. I'm not positive if that's going to be enough or not, but I feel like it probably will be. I use this process with my jewelry making in order to determine the size of stone fitting, and it's pretty damn accurate, so I feel like I might be able to get this on the first try. If not, maybe the second or third. Alright, she's looking good. Final thing we have to do is decimate it. It's a cool retopology function where it takes this model, which is currently 1,000,000 polygons that you can see all those tiny little squares, and brings it down to about 10 times less. It's much easier for the 3D printer to process. But while this brings down the amount of polygons, you really don't lose any detail because it considers corners and uses more topology there and less on larger flat surfaces where it's not really needed. After the model was ready, then I had to give it supports before we're able to 3D print it. The nice thing about a mask is the inside doesn't really matter, so I can support it pretty much entirely from the bottom up, so I don't have to worry about really any cleanup once it's printed. Alright, so it's all ready. We're gonna take this over to the studio and pray that the printing gods are on our side today. Alright, let's get out of here. And it looks like the printing gods were not on our side. After 4 failures, part of me was beginning to lose hope. Although probably not my brightest idea to start a whole new project on a brand new machine with a new type of resin that I've never used before, but hey. So, once I figured that out, late at night, the 5th print came out looking so good. Before even processing the print, it already looks so good. I can't believe how well this turned out. Like, if it looks this good before anything's even done to it, my hopes are pretty high. It's genuinely insane that I didn't buy this from Lego. It's so crisp and it feels really solid. Lastly, we gotta flood it with a spicy purple lights. Ooh, pretty. The manufacturer of this machine made this dumb sensor that cuts the lights out whenever I open the lid, so I can never look at them directly. And they tell me we live in a free country. Look how good it came out. Like, I am so honestly kind of surprised. Look how crisp all the lines are, and I can't tell you, the feel of it, it's more solid than I expected. But despite how good it looks, I've been putting off the real test, the moment of truth. Will the Lego axle fit just right in the 3D printed hole? Ladies and gentlemen, would you look at that? To be honest, it was kind of a struggle at first, and I got kind of scared. I had to like really jam it in there, but once that initial resistance was over, it does fit in pretty much perfectly. Come on, that is so cool. I guess I was imagining that I would never be able to reach the official Lego quality, but this is closer than I imagined. I think that's why I'm so surprised. Alright, I couldn't wait to finalize this. We're getting straight to painting. But alas, I encountered a problem. See, spray on primer is way messier than I was expecting, and so I was planning to rely on my ghetto little paint studio, i.e. cardboard box, but it didn't really contain all the spray and the powder, so I had to come up with some solution that didn't require spending a lot of money. And look at this, I am like equally pleasantly surprised with how well this turned out. I mean, it's so good. I ordered this fan and then I used the box of the fan. I cut out some holes, then I threw in a dual layer activated carbon HEPA filter that I had laying around for my jewelry purposes and stuck it in the box with the fan. So it pulls the air out of the box through that filter first. And this tiny fan, it does have enough airflow to contain pretty much all of the dust. So with that, we're gonna prime this in gray. So to try and match the pearl light gray color, I used some old acrylic paints I had lying around. I mixed a dark gray, a white, and a silver. The pearl gray color isn't super shiny. I would say it's mostly a light gray, but it does have a particular sheen to it. And so my intention here was to mix a little bit of the silver in with the lighter gray made with the white and the dark gray to give it just a little bit of sparkle. You can see here, the mask is far darker, but my mix of colors is pretty accurate. All right, look at that, we've gotten super close. There's still like a slight tonal difference, but I mean, it is probably as close as I'll get. That's a sign to stop. Fuck me. Well, there goes my hard work. I had to run it through water to try and get that big dollop of paint off, but unfortunately it ended up taking a lot of the paint layers with it. But I think it's salvageable, so I'm gonna try my best and get it back to where we were. Well, it was salvaged pretty easily. I got it back to a shade that was pretty close to the true color, but the real issue is that it wasn't reflective enough. I've been trying my best to not make it reflective because pearl light gray is not that shiny, but it does reflect some light, more than the mask does. So for a final touch, I'm going back over very lightly with pure silver paint, almost dry brushing it on just to give it a slight sheen. I'm slowly building it up one thin layer at a time so it doesn't get too shiny. Wow, you guys. I think I did it. Look at that. Like I said, this is literally the first model that I've ever painted, so I need to drop the high standards. Like, the fact that I got it that close is honestly amazing. Like, I'm so proud of how this turned out. Now for the real moment of truth. How will it look like on Toa Ignika? I plan to release part 2 next week. Not playing.